This conference is being recorded.
And Pam, we've got a little bit of background noise.
From me? So I'm on a new computer, so hopefully it's not me.
No, it's Tony.
Tony,
I think it's you. But I don't remember how to mute.
The new upgrade to the platform shows us on the left-hand side for attendees little blue bars when we have noise coming from an audio line, and I'm seeing that echo from Pam. So I'll go ahead and I'll mute anyone who's not supposed to, who's not speaking during this first section.
All right, so then I will, actually then, Tony, I'll just turn it over to you to do the introduction for this section. We're going to talk about when booking a program first, and then I'll unmute myself when I need to talk.
All right, thanks, Pam. Okay. So we're. Sorry.
I thought we were going to change the order. Yes. Right,
Yes.
Tony? Right, Tony?
Yep. Sorry, I'm still working on getting everyone muted. People keep unmuting.
Okay.
One moment.
Hello?
Okay. I think we're all set. Okay. Let me go to the slide. So thank you to Sterling Bates, who is our current Director of Finance, who's going to be helping us explain this section here. This is Sterling has graciously agreed to join us on the call today as a representative of the Executive Committee of the Board of Directors of APTI. So this is a letter that we're going to be sending out to all of our chapter leaders, or at the very least the chapter presidents today, regarding some information that has been relayed to the APTI Board of Directors that we feel is very important to share with our chapters. So before we dive into this, a key point to remember is we have not been able to either confirm or refute any of this information. It just seems that this has been relayed to us from what we believe to be a reliable source.
Yeah, let's if Tony may clarify that. We've confirmed from one party but not the other. So we have done what confirmation we can. We've attempted to contact him. So we've done as much confirmation as we can, but this is about providing information to the chapter leaders so they can make responsible decisions as they need to.
Perfect. Great clarification. Thank you, Sterling. So we've been recently informed by a representative of True Colors International that apparently Don Lowry is not authorized to conduct licensing or certifications for any True Colors instrument or intellectual property. At this point, I'm basically just reading from the letter, and we'll take some questions and clarifications here at the end. It's been communicated to the association that while he is permitted to speak about and present on the intellectual property owned by the company, he is not permitted to license or certify any individual to use or purchase any instrument owned by the company. It has been further communicated that he is not permitted to reproduce or create any derivative content. This would include things like flashcards or playbills based on any intellectual property owned by the company. I did try to give Don a call yesterday, was not able to get a hold of him, and due to the fact that we had this call scheduled for today, and we wanted to communicate this with everybody, we were not able to, as Sterling mentioned, confirm this report with both parties involved. So we just wanted to pass along the information that was communicated to us.
I think it's worth, let me know, Tony, when I should add in.
Go ahead.
It's worth noting we've tried to confirm several things. We can confirm legally that True Colors International is indeed the trademark holder for True Colors. So it is not Don Lowry. He sold it to True Colors International. They are indeed, at least legally according to the United States, the trademark owner. We have also confirmed that on Don Lowry's website he does indeed say he is certifying people in True Colors. So there is some direct conflict of information between these two sources. And at this point, we're just trying to make sure that any chapters who are going to be making decisions about programs at least have the full information at their fingertips before they have to make any decision. So at this point, we are not able to confirm. We can only indicate what we've collected information so far, and we leave it up to the chapters to make their own individual decisions about what they want to do about this information.
Exactly. Exactly, and an important addendum to that, Sterling, I think, is since this just brings up another good question, that if you have anybody, regardless of this information, coming to your chapter to do a program, especially if it involves a certification or a license or anything like that, just make sure that that presenter is qualified and allowed to deliver that content. If you need any assistance in verifying any of those qualifications, please feel free to reach out to us at the office. And if we have the information available, we can certainly take care of it. Or if it requires a little bit of work, we're very happy to help verifying any of those qualifications or permissions. Sterling or Pam, anything else you wanted to add onto this?
Well, I would just say now, what questions do you have, if any? We just really wanted to make sure that all of you knew about this controversy so that you could, make choices about it and be fully informed. So that's a piece of this and part of our ethical use of type and ethics in the APTI organization. But this would be a good chance, if any of you have any questions, either put them in the chat or just raise them for any of us to discuss. So no questions. And Tony, I think if you're going to send this out, it would need to go to the presidents and the program chair for each organization, because the program chair is even the more likely person to be considering this or contacting folks. All right.
That is currently the
I guess I do have one
Go ahead, Julie.
question. This is Julie. If you are going to send this out, will you be trying again to contact Don Lowry before doing that?
That's a good question. Tony, when were you planning to send this out?
I was planning on sending it out today, or more likely tomorrow, since we are getting a little bit late in the day as is. But I can certainly make another attempt. But we did at least leave a voicemail with Don, asking him to contact us back. But it never hurts to be thorough.
Yep, and again, this is one where there's at least more than enough evidence to indicate there is a conflict between the two parties. We expect that he would be able to have some arguments, but we don't know that even if he were to be able to talk to us directly, would necessarily clear up the things. As we understand it from True Colors International, there may be involved with lawsuits. So there will certainly be a discrepancy in the perspective of both parties. And so that's why we think it's best for each of the chapters to have the information and be able to raise their own questions.
Great, thanks, Sterling. If we do not have any other questions on the topic, I'm going to go ahead and bring us back to the beginning of the presentation, and we can go continue working through that. So thank you, Sterling, for joining us today. Input is greatly appreciated.
All right, have a good day, everyone.
Thanks, Sterling. And I'm going to go ahead and make Adam our host. So Adam, you have control over the slides, and I'm going to also go ahead and give that to Jane, since Jane is speaking today for us as well. So you can both navigate the slides, and I'll turn it over to the two of you.
Go ahead, Jane. I think you're first.
I'm not sure. Let's see here. Jane, can you try saying something? It doesn't look like you. It doesn't look like you are on mute. We cannot hear you, but you are not on mute through the system. Is your line on your end on mute?
It doesn't have a little microphone next to her name.
Oh.
Or it did.
Adam or Jane, did you guys just bring up screen share?
I did by mistake, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Jane, let me send you the call-in information. I'll disconnect this line and you can call right back in for us. And Adam, do you want to start on your section while
Yes.
we're waiting on Jane?
Yes, I'll be glad to do that, Tony. As we're ending 2013 and beginning to plan the chapter leader calls for 2014, we wanted to ask for some input from you about what you would like to see done with these calls. And on your screen, you should be able to see a list of calls that we did in this past year to kind of remind you of some of the things we've had. I think if you'd be so kind as to indicate in the chat window any of these programs from 2013 that were particularly useful or effective for you that could be models for what we should do in the coming year, that would be helpful. Or if you just have suggestions about things you would like us to cover, I would be glad to hear that as well. So anything either reflecting about the past year's programs and what you liked, what worked for you, or what you would like to see in the future. And also to ask, do you prefer presentations or with question and answer, or would you rather see these be more of a dialogue between chapter leaders? Anything that you can help with that, I would appreciate if you could type into the chat window. I see Julie has mentioned that she liked hearing from the president and the past president of APTI at the beginning of the year, and Evelyn mentions that as well.
In 0.2 miles, turn left on Haven Lake North. Recalculating.
Any other comments about programs that would be good models for the future? Sharon says she likes 50-50 leader discussion and presentation. That's helpful. I'm going to move the slide back so you can see the beginning of 2013 again, in case it's hard to remember what all we did. Linda has commented. Charles has mentioned the Nurturing Volunteers presentation, reaching out to community organizations, and the sensation function presentation. I'm going to type my email address into the chat window and encourage you to write to me if you have thoughts about what you would like to see in the chapter leader meetings in the coming year, or if perhaps you have something that you would be willing to present, either for a half a meeting or a whole meeting, that you think might be of interest to everyone. Because we want these meetings to be useful to you, to be stimulating, to help you feel like you have a sense of community with the other leaders and you're not battling chapter leadership problems all by yourself somewhere. And Pam has made a comment that she liked the last meeting about the sensation function. So Jane, would you like to try speaking and see if you have a connection now?
Yeah, I'm on now. Can you hear me?
Good. Well then, Jane, why don't I get out of your way and let you take it from here?
Okay. Can you back up the slides? Thank you. All the way. So just to prepare for chapter renewal, you know, one of the questions you may ask if you're brand new is why do we do this? Or if you have been a chapter leader for a while, why do we have to go through this every year? And it really is because of the financial aspect with taxes that we want to make sure we allow Tony and the management team enough time to compile all our reports. That is one of the benefits of being a chapter, is that they take care of all that for us. So we don't have to do it, but they do need some information from us. You might also wonder why can't it be simplified? And the good news is that we have simplified it every year based on your feedback. In fact, this year we're taking a hiatus from the fee structure form because we found that, you know, it was interesting the first time. We found out what were other people charging, but I don't know that we need to do that every year. So we're not going to do that this year. And then you might wonder, you know, is February 1st a real drop-dead date? Well, again, for ease of the management team, that's when they need the information so they can plan their work to meet the IRS tax deadline. And one thing I found, I mean, as a treasurer, that is, if I did a little bit every month, it wasn't so onerous at the end of the year. But if you do have unforeseen circumstances, I know one chapter had issues last year, and as long as you communicate in advance to Tony so he can work something out, that really does help. Otherwise, we just want to make sure you're, you know, still a chapter, because there are legal, operating, and tax implications if you can't meet the requirements. So on the next slide, I just wanted to preview some of the materials. Tony has already put them on the website for you to download, and he'll be sending an invite with where to put those forms. So Adam, if you can advance to the next slide. Thank you. So this is what the website looks like. Again, a reminder, February 1st is the due date, but on the top screen you can see if you click on the membership tab here and you drop down to chapters, then there's annual chapter renewal forms, and he will be giving you an invitation to complete the forms and put it in your own private Dropbox so that he has access to it. So on the next slide, we want to show you some of the forms. So there's the cover letter. Again, just basically reiterating that the two things we need from you are the forms completed and then a check, or you can call the APTI headquarters directly with your credit card information to pay for your APTI affiliate members. Those are people that are members of your chapter, but they're not members of APTI. And then that $15 fee just goes towards, as I just mentioned, the tax, the legal, the organizational support that APTI provides the chapters. On the next slide, we created a checklist. So you know there's basically 5 forms that need to be completed. And then there's attachment 6 is a copy of your chapter bylaws. And that's just if you've changed them since the last time. We're actually working on updating the APTI bylaws that the board needs to approve, so you should be seeing updated ones coming out in the near term. Attachment 7 is a copy of all the bank and account statements, and the management team does prefer electronic copies because it's just easier to email, but if you need to mail it, you have their address. And then if you have minutes, that's optional, but that's helpful to, again, demonstrate that you are operating as a chapter. And then any additional information, attachment 9 is optional. And I'll go through the top 5 forms in a moment in detail, but I did just want to mention those attachments that were listed there. Any questions so far on the letter or what's to be sent before we dive in? Okay, if not, let's go to the next slide. And you'll see that the simplest form is just a chapter agreement form that both the president and the treasurer sign. One of the key things it does mention here is that you've gone through the CPP trademark guidelines. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see a copy of this. It looks similar to last year, but it's actually been revised November of 2012. So you will want to review that with your board again, just to make sure, and that is also on the website as well. Then on the next slide, the second form that needs to be filled out is the chapter board contact. And you'll see we separated it by 2013 on the top and 2014 on the bottom. And again, based on your feedback, we found that Excel was easy because you can copy and paste if people stay on your board. They may have a different title, but contact information is the same. You'll see that we need to find out if they're president or treasurer, and again, that's to fulfill on the bylaws that both your president and treasurer need to be APTI members. The average hours per month, that is just simply another IRS requirement, how much time, so you can estimate it. It doesn't have to be hard and fast. Whether you're an APTI member or not, again, one of the bylaws is that at least 5 members of your chapter is an APTI member. If you're not sure, you can go on the website under membership directory and check who is or who isn't. And then besides their name, the type and is optional. Email is helpful because obviously we want to contact you. And Mary Charles compiles the chapter leaders list so that you have that information. If you need to contact, say, the VP of programming of another chapter, you want to use their speaker, you have that access. And then the rest of the information is optional because I know some chapter leaders said, you know, we don't really feel comfortable giving you our home address and phone number and stuff like that. So again, email is the minimum, just so we have a way to get a hold of you. So any questions about the board contact? Okay, otherwise it's pretty similar to last year. So otherwise, moving on then to the next form. This is the financial statement form, and there's just a couple things that are different. It's the same format. We start with income, we go into expenses, and then net profit, and then your opening and closing balances. But one thing we found that might be confusing and why we're using different colored arrows was to distinguish that, you know, now that we've had this affiliate chapter member dues for the last couple years, we need to put them in different categories. So you'll see the blue arrow shows what did you collect for 2013 in affiliate dues, and then that also goes what you need to pay for your outstanding bills as of 12/31. The red arrow shows that this is what you paid last year in dues to APTI, so that's considered an expense. So we just wanted to clarify, you know, why is it listed more than once? Well, that's why, because one is 2013 in the blue and 2012 is in the red. Does that make sense? Any questions on that one? Okay. If not, then on the next slide, one of the other forms, this is again a simple Excel spreadsheet, just basic listing your chapter members. Again, you hopefully have something like this already, but pull down menu, what's your chapter, are they an APTI member, you put a 1 or yes or no, and then their name, their type, if they'd like to share that, and then their email. And again, the contact information is optional. One thing we did talk about this year is to provide the APTI affiliate chapter members, providing them emails from APTI about upcoming programs so that they feel they have the benefit of being aware of those things as well. So hopefully you'll see that more in the future. So we just wanted to make sure you were aware of that. And then again, you can add to this spreadsheet. I think we went up to 50, but add and subtract as needed, and it automatically calculates how many members are APTI members for you at the bottom. So it's pretty self-explanatory and simple, again, based on your feedback. Questions or comments on that? All right, if not, the next slide shows programs for the year. And again, we're giving you the opportunity to share what chapter programs do you have coming up in 2014. If you have something scheduled, again, it's just helpful. I know one thing that Adam does is he likes to collect all the programs provided. So again, if you see something that you think might be helpful, he can be a resource for you to say, oh, you might want to check this chapter, they had so-and-so, and provide that information. So again, just the date, title, what was the meeting, brief description, what was the speaker's name, their email in case somebody does want to contact them, and did you get CEUs approved through the APTI office? Because often that time that's helpful, and then people don't have to go through the same process to find out. And then any comments, whether it was worked or what didn't work about it, so that people will have those comments available if they are interested in contacting the same speaker. Any questions or comments about that? And then Pam wrote in the chat window, you can see, if for those of you that are on the phone only, it's an intention to be in touch with chapter members with a few emails that would be valuable to them. So we won't be inundating the APTI affiliate chapter members, but again, just to include them so they're aware of what what APTI is providing. Otherwise, on the next slide, we have, Adam, are you running? I lost Adam. Oh, there we go. There we go. So this is a wrap-up to Renew. Like I said, Tony will be sending you an invitation with the attached forms or a download from, or you can download it directly from APTI, and where to submit it in the Dropbox folder for your chapter by February 1st. So again, you can work with your chapter leaders, who's going to do what. Typically, the treasurer works on the financial stuff, and your VP of programs might work on the programs, and we can split the workload up, and it's not so cumbersome. To figure out your affiliate dues, again, you want to see who is not an APTI full member by December 31st. And then, as I said, you want to submit the forms and either write a check, or you can call APTI with your credit card number to pay $15 per non-APTI member. Any questions or comments about that? And Adam wrote in the chat window, he's here to help any chapter with programming info from other chapters. So again, if you want information or guidance, speakers, potential, he's the guy to contact for that. And then on the next slide, this is what Adam had gone over with you before. So what we'll be talking about next month, chapter renewals will give you a reminder about that if there's any questions or concerns about that. Otherwise, they are due. The downloads are available right now on the website. The next call is January 9th, and based on your feedback, Adam will be using that to create a schedule of topics for 2014. So with that, let me turn it back over to Pam, see if there's any other comments or questions, things that we want to go over today.
So I'm a little concerned that we didn't have any questions or comments about the reports, but I think that could be, Jane, because, wow, what a nice, thorough presentation. Genuinely, our intention is to make this as painless a process as possible, and that you'd have plenty of time and, not make this really onerous, because we want it to be as easy as possible. So one final request, are there any questions or comments that any of you had, and you can do it in the chapter? And I love Sharon Wallace's comment that says, it was easy last year and for her and her treasurer, woohoo. So there's one an announcement that I want to make that hasn't yet been fully public, and that is that for next year's board, Julie Wright, who's on the call today, who's been a leader in the Bay Area as well as Sacramento, is joining the board to be a co-chair with Sterling Bates on the membership experience. So as an organization, APTI is aware that the value of being a member is just not really clear at this moment. So we really want to shift and make the changes to make sure the value is clear, that we're offering things that really make sense, and that we're reaching out to the type community in as many ways as we can to make sure we've got this vibrant community. So Julie, congratulations, and wow, that's very cool from the board perspective. It's like, woohoo! So are there any other questions or comments, I'd say, about any topic? So we covered the controversy today about True Colors. We've gone over all the chapter renewal, and the phone will stop ringing behind me in a moment. And then the third topic where we'll start planning our programs for next year. So is there anything else, questions or comments from anyone? So Linda Elliott wrote a question to say, any responses to my comment about a bulletin board of announcements? Let me see what that question was. Yes, we'll make these slides available, and this is being recorded.
No, the question was about how a bulletin board for announcements from chapters. And I'm echoing, so find it and read it.
So Mary Charles, actually, you might be the person to answer the question. So if a chapter had an announcement that they wanted to make to all the chapter leaders, what's the best way and the best vehicle through the Google group to do that?
We aren't using the Google group right now, so let me look into that.
Okay, so, I mean, just some way to send something to all the chapter leaders, because I mean, a part of our goal here, and the reason that we're even convening these chapter leader calls, is to make sure that you all are able to support each other, but also let each other know about programs and projects and things. And I'm aware that Linda, who's also in Portland, is working with a colleague on something that she would like to make sure all the chapter leaders are aware about. And I just want to make sure we're using the venue of the chapter leaders, whether it's called the Google group or sending an email to you, Mary Charles, to send out to someone, that we do figure that out.
That's the best thing, if you'll send it to aptchapterleaders@gmail.com.
Perfect. And that would be available to any of you that have an announcement to make. We're going to be doing some revising of the APTI website, and one of the things that I'm interested in making sure happens is that we've got a place on the website where we've got chapter leader information, resources, etc. And one of announcements would be helpful. I think we're going to have a more robust way of letting everybody know about activities and things that are coming, just so you go to the website and you go, whoa, look at this interesting thing. So, and we might need a password to have access to a chapter leader thing. We haven't exactly sorted that out. Okay, and Linda, I'll talk with you about, it was Mary Charles who said how to get information out to everyone. So any other questions or comments? Today's been kind of a quiet call, or mostly chatting in the chat room. If there's anything else that any of you have. So Adam says, if anyone wants to make an announcement to the other chapter leaders, you could unmute yourself, or we could ask Tony to unmute you if you've got something you'd want to announce. Okay, well, we'll make sure that, there are opportunities to make these announcements. Sharon Wallace, good job, Sharon, says she wants to put in a shameless plug for the eChapter December 17th program, so next week. And Sharon, what is that program? So it's, the J and P Continuum in Depth with Peter Geyer. So that would be an interesting one to participate in. And you get 2 continuing education credits for that. So that's pretty terrific to have that. All right, anything else? Linda Elliott says, kudos to the eChapter. Woohoo! Well, I think there's nothing wrong with ending a little bit early. Again, thanks all of you for participating, because this is a way that we can maintain our community here, and we'll see you in the new year at the same time. If you have any questions about the renewal process, make sure you get to us. If you have any suggestions about the programs that we could have for the chapter leader calls, we do want these to continue to be really interesting and practical and useful for you. So let us know. But happy holidays to all, a great new year and solstice and all the rest. And we'll see you in the new year. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.